In 2020, a middle-class family was getting a bunch of cash for every kid. We were having middle-class families spend $3,000, $4,000 on Christmas lights because, like every other home improvement thing, back then they were like, oh, we're not traveling, let's do something to the house. And that's why the home service industry exploded. I max out Google's budget every day because I want to drown my competitor. Because we have such a consolidated amount of time to make money, I don't want to do 500 houses. The market didn't care what was going on in my personal life. They paid for a result. I fully delegated to the wrong person and we almost went bankrupt. You can have loyalty all day long, but if you don't have a structure to have them feel like this is the best wagon to hitch themselves to, then they're gonna leave.
Welcome back to another episode of the Austin Zaback Show. Today we got my good friend Steve Hunsaker in the house, and this is a long time in the making. I gotta admit it. You know, you come to our studios, you're here all the time, and finally we got to talking one day. We're like, dude, why don't we have Steve on the pod? You know. And so anyways, guys, if you don't know who Steve is, Steve actually is in the home service industry. He's built multiple home service companies. One of them specifically, which I want to talk about first because of the season that we're in right now. So right now, at the time of filming, we're in the first week in November. Steve actually owns a Christmas light hanging company. He's the #1 Christmas light hanging company when it comes to residential real estate here in the state of Arizona. And dude, you do some pretty insane numbers in a really short window of time in that company. Yeah. But you also own a couple of other companies, including an education company, which we'll get into. So, Steve, I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Dude, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Heck yeah, bro. So let's dive right into it, man. I really want to give everybody a ton of value here. And, you know, this is kind of the perfect season, right? So people are watching around the country, which I have a ton of listeners all around the U.S. And abroad. You know, I want to talk about how you got into the Christmas light hanging industry and really what that looks like for you. So give me kind of the short backstory of like what made you get into the industry.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about the industry now versus even this is our 6th season. So 5.5 years ago when I first started it, the industry is completely different. Like 2020, no one was doing it. Really? So I found it on Reddit on like a sweaty startup post, like, you know, one of those subreddits. And people were like, oh, you can make some money hanging Christmas lights. And I was like, I was working at Paycom as a sales rep at the time. So like getting decent SaaS like tech income, but it was just like peak virus. I know we can't say that on YouTube. Yeah. So peak virus. And I was looking at it, and then these guys were like middle school educated dudes in Georgia that were like, yeah, I'm making 6 figures in 2 months, like net take home. Right. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm in a pretty damn good market in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley. And so I found one of the dudes on Reddit. It backlinked to like one of those free Facebook posts. And I found a dude, and I was just like, I just DM'd him on Facebook, and he gave me like the full sauce. And so the model we do is, because people think like, oh, hanging Christmas lights, you're just gonna go out to a house and throw some Home Depot lights on a house. Our model is like completely different. Like we're full blown white glove, custom cut commercial grade product on houses. And so our market is not middle class. Like our market is, you know, $1 to $15 million homes. We are out there with like commercial grade products with like wire cutters, like cutting the lights to fit on the roof line. Wow. Like doing all of their trees, bushes, hanging like, you know, 5-foot wreaths everywhere. And it's very a la carte. And so I think that's important because people hear like, oh, I got the landscape company in my neighborhood also hangs Christmas lights. And when we talk about like the numbers of mine and like our market, it's a completely different type of business than just like what a lot of like the pressure washer companies, the landscape companies, all that do on the side. And so I started it in 2020, and the first year we did like maybe 50 something houses. And it was like, I think we did like 98K in revenue or something like that. And I made like no money. But then as we kind of fast forwarded too, it just kind of got better as an operator and an owner. And now this year, the guys are out installing, you know, 22,000 today. Wow. In installs. And yeah, I mean, last year we were like, the first year we were happy to do, you know, 98K. Now we'll do over like, our stretch goal was between 1.1 and 1.3 this year. I think we're tracking for about 1.2. And the interesting thing is why I say the industry's changed is there is literally 50 times the amount of competitors now, which like I'm kind of partially to blame. I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah, you're shouting it from the mountaintop.
Yeah, because like I've made content about it for 2 years now, and I can see the content that I make in the market about like the stuff that like kind of helps sell Home Service Accelerator. Like when I talk about like our gift card campaigns and like this strategy with mailers and this Facebook ad strategy, I will be sitting at my house now and I will see the local competitors in my market running my Facebook ads word for word. They're running my gift card and referral strategies like exactly the same way I do. And so it's just like we've just constantly had to adapt. But what's crazy is like the people that start now, I think we're kind of seeing the Christmas light business go through the same thing pressure washing went through in like 2020 and 2021, where it was like everybody was talking about it on social media, and then everybody floods in thinking the same numbers that people got in 2020 and 2021 are going to be what they're getting. And then now like I'm seeing guys like invest, a lot of money into the front end, like their first year, and not get similar results.
Wow.
So it is interesting. Like we see the ad costs are up substantially between year 1 and year 6. Like customer acquisition costs are probably double because there's just more people doing it. The only people winning are Google and Facebook because those are the people you're buying ads from.
Totally.
Yeah.
So when you got into the industry, did you make it a point to only do the upper class, like $1 million to $15 million houses, or did you start doing the $750,000 house and then grow into the big boys? Like what was kind of the thought process there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first year I did, like I knew that because I had a tech sales background, I knew just like sell to people who have money, it's going to be a little bit easier. But as far as being an owner, I was a terrible owner. And so I did focus more on Scottsdale, but most of my advertising was valley-wide, which, probably from where we're sitting right now, 25 miles west, 25 miles east.
Yep.
And then it was the best and worst thing because in 2020, you have to remember that a middle-class family was getting a bunch of cash for every kid from the government. They weren't traveling at all.
Literally.
So these middle-class families that usually were spending, close to 5 figures on vacations every year had disposable income and government income coming at the same time. And so we would sell a house in Peoria, Arizona. And so for anybody listening nationally, like there's nice houses in Peoria, but Peoria is largely like most of the pockets of Peoria or, Glendale, Arizona, places a little bit more west are like definitely middle-class spots.
Yep.
Now, we have massive customers in Peoria too. But my point was we were having middle-class families spend $3,000-$4,000 on Christmas lights because like every other home improvement thing, back then they were like, oh, we're not traveling, let's do something to the house. And that's why the home service industry exploded in 2020, 2021, 2022. And then what we've seen is over the course of the last 6 years, so this is our 6th season, we've seen like our install map. Like if you look at every job we do, in the first year it was just dots everywhere. And then you watch year by year,
fascinating.
All of our business just focuses into, and now it's like almost all Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, and then Arcadia.
Wow.
With like a few stragglers because we have like, if you look on like from an SEO perspective, if you look up Christmas light installation companies on ChatGPT, on Google, we're going to be number 1 basically everywhere in the Valley. And so we still get inbound calls everywhere, but where all of my paid advertising goes is all Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Arcadia.
Totally.
Just because I know, like, I just want home run opportunities. And so my close rate is worse than all my competitors. I know it is. Like, my close rate's worse. My customer acquisition cost is higher.
Yep.
But the difference is, like, my average ticket's $3,800 to $4,500. And every other Christmas light company is, like, struggling to get to $1,500 to $2,000 average ticket. But that's because, like, I just looked at it as, like, okay, do I want to, like, hit a bunch of home runs or hit a bunch of singles? Because,
right.
I mean, you're in the pest control world, so you know better than anybody, like, route mapping and everything gets so complicated with a lot of individual homeowners. And being that we have such a consolidated time to make money, we have 50 days to make money.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
50
it's about
days.
50 days.
Okay.
Now, we've extended it a little the more, like, we got a little bit more commercial work. So, like, this year we started doing some in September.
Okay.
But they're largely loss leaders in September. Like, we view the half of September we do installs as like paid training for a lot of the time. Because then once we get to October, my installers are like fully trained and ready to go.
Yep.
So we don't make a lot in September off the jobs we do, but it helps. But yeah, dude, it's like, because we have such a consolidated amount of time to make money, I don't want to do 500 houses.
Totally.
Like, I don't want to deal with 500 homeowners. I don't want to deal with collecting on 500 individual invoices in, a 50-day period. So if we can hit more home runs and become like the brand in those areas, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Now, if I had a pest control company or anything else, I would bid them all. Like, I would try to get as much volume as possible.
Totally.
It's just a different type of industry.
It's a different type of industry, right? Like, I'm in that pest control world right now, and I know that in the beginning stages of building the company, my route density is going to be terrible, right? But I'm okay with that because I know that one day, if I can get one house out there in that location, then I can now start to go get the neighbors and build that route density, right?
Right.
But it just takes time, you know? So I'm curious though, for you, when you got into the industry, what were you doing initially? Like, how did the customer acquisition change over the course of time? Like, did you start out day one doing the Facebook and the Google? Because obviously now you're number one on SEO and all that, right? But in the beginning, you weren't. But obviously, there wasn't as much competition. But like, was it you out door knocking, or what did that look like?
No. So because even prior to Paycom, I did door-to-door sales for a logistics company. And I told myself when I started this, I was never going to knock a door again.
Right.
Like, I'm not doing it.
Because you were just over it.
Dude, I used to sell freight for 3 years where I would take my car and I would park in like a freight park, like out by the airport. And I would door knock for 8 hours a day. Like, and get told to F off literally 100 times a day. It was the worst thing ever. Like, there's times where I got grabbed by my shirt collar and escorted out of the back of warehouses by warehouse managers.
Wow.
Like, I was like that. And that was just how we were taught. And so when I started my own, I was like, all right,
no more.
no door knocking.
Yep.
So I'm going to find a way to get customers to call me. So even year one, it was all Google pay-per-click ads and a tiny bit of Facebook, but I was paying agencies for both. Like, now I run all my Facebook ads in-house. Like,
I can't wait to talk about that. Yeah.
And and I think most home service businesses should, but back then it was Google pay-per-click was king. Like, I could buy a lead for $6.
Wow.
Like, imagine as a pest control, like you being like, oh, Google pay-per-click, $6. Dude, but even in pest...
I'd throw $500,000 at it right now, you know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying. But even in pest control, in 2019, 2020, your customer acquisition costs were 10% of what they are now.
I believe it.
And so back then it was Google pay-per-click ads, a little bit of Facebook, and then I just, like, it was so cheap that it was just all that. And then we got like no referrals back then. And I was like, why don't we get referrals? Maybe it's an industry thing. And it turns out we just sucked. Like, the quality of the work back then was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've probably, of that 48, 52 customers, whatever it was that first year, I think we have maybe 10 still that are still with us. So we've turned over.
Yeah, because you were learning. You didn't know what you were doing at the time.
Dude, there was like a few installs we did. I stapled lights to the house.
For sure.
We would laugh. Like, if my crews were out there and they saw someone else stapling like a neighbor's house, they would send me a picture laughing.
100%.
Yeah, so it was like a completely different game. So that was like customer acquisition in year one. And then year two was like, year one I did everything, and then I had like a few buddies help me. And then year two I hired ops. So I stopped installing fully. I still did it a little bit, but I had like installers. And then I focused on more Facebook ads, more Google ads, and then like a little bit more organic referral strategies. And then year three, I hired a Facebook agency and they sucked. So I stopped running Facebook ads entirely year three, cranked Google pay-per-click. And then now year four was all Facebook, a little bit of Google pay-per-click. Year five was similar. Now it's actually insane. There's so much competition on Facebook. Google's super expensive. What I do is I max out Google's budget every day because I want to drown my competitors.
LSAs or pay-per-click?
Pay-per-click.
Okay.
LSA won't, like local service ads or Google Guaranteed, doesn't offer Christmas lights.
Got
so
it.
you can't even do
I didn't know
yet.
that.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. So it's like, it'll categorize you under electricians, which like will never make sense.
Right, no.
Yeah, but now it's like, what I want to do is I focus all of my spend on Google in like Paradise Valley, Scottsdale. And I think it's Dan Kennedy, where it's like, just whoever spends the most to acquire customers is going to win.
Totally.
Like, I want to drown my local competitors to even try to run Google ads against me. So like, I don't care. I give, like, I'll tell Google, I'll give me $1,000 a day in just these cities, and they won't even come close to spending the budget.
Because
I'm
can't.
just like, no, it can't.
Because
not enough
you're so niche down.
Yeah, and there's not enough volume, but Google's going to try to prioritize the person that wants to spend the most.
Totally.
And so they're going to let me swallow up all the clicks. I want to be top of page, everything else, because I know if I want to, like, it's a lot different being the new company that's trying to grow in an industry versus staying on top. Like, I need to make it as hard as possible
100%
for my competitors to break in.
Yeah.
And like, that's the easiest way for me to do it.
Hey, real quick, I'm calling all my Arizona people out there. If you have scorpions, mosquitoes, bed bugs, termites, rodents, anything you probably saw, but I started a company called Nectar Pest Control, and I would love your support. We're also doing an exclusive limited time only offer for our Founders 500K. Our first 500 people who join will get an insane discount and a bunch of other really cool perks. So I would love your support. All you got to do is click the link down below. Don't wait, because these perks will run out when we get to that 500 people mark. I appreciate you as always, and let's get back to the video. So then, yeah, talk to me about like the actual, because I want to get into all the marketing and all that. First, I want to talk, you know, in the beginning, you're saying that your quality now, right now, obviously, is like top notch. Like you're doing these huge houses, like it's all commercial grade, you know, quality. Like, and I've been out to a job site. So for those of you guys who haven't seen the video yet, I'll actually link it somewhere right here on the screen, and then I'll link it down in the description below. But we actually did what we call a business tour with Steve. I believe it was last year.
This is, dude, almost about a year ago today.
Yeah. And that was a great video, right? So we actually went to a house with you. That house had to have been, what, $10 million? Do you remember that house?
Yeah, oh yeah. Matt. We just did them again like 2 days ago.
That house is beautiful, right? And you guys did a phenomenal job. I mean, the lights look just incredible, right? So, like, when did you make that pivot? And, like, what did that look like, right? Like, how did you figure out, like, oh, stapling's not the move. Oh, going to Home Depot is not the move. Like, when did you start to put the pieces together and go that really high quality? Yeah,
that's a good question. So year 2 was when I was like, okay, if I look at, as an owner, firing myself from all of the different facets of the business, year 2 was like, I need to get off the truck. Year 3 was I need to hire salespeople. Year 4 was like, I need to hire talent in both of those positions. Year 5, more of that. And so to answer the question, like what happened was I hired a director of operations in year 2, and then we went from 100K to like 250K in a season. And that was just off of the fact that someone else was doing ops, I was doing all of sales. But the quality still wasn't there. Like we didn't retain a lot of customers. Like the quality wasn't there. And so I'm a big fan of paying for education. And so I was going to every single training possible in the off season. I was like, anyone that had a 7-figure business, I was like, let me fly out to you. Like, you know, whatever else.
And
like,
you were just paying them to mentor you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like paying for every training possible. And then just like proximity of people that are where you want to be. You just like you pick up one thing from this guy at a conference in Denver. You pick up one thing from this guy. And it's like little stupid stuff. Like we used to use the wrong clips. And then we found out that you could get a magnet socket wire that costs 5 times more per foot, but your install time will cut in half and the guys would be way more safe and like stuff like that. That just happens over time. But the big change was Jack, and you met Jack.
I met Jack. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. So Jack,
I mean, he can hang lights without a ladder.
Yeah. So if people follow me, they see Jack pretty much every day. So Jack was my first employee ever when he was still at GCU, college out in Phoenix. And he was just like an installer. And then when he graduated, I was like, dude, you need to step into this operations role. Yeah. The second he stepped in, he has like a business owner's mind, even when he wasn't a business owner.
Interesting.
And so he has that like that self-improvement, that like constant, like, you know, everything that a typical good entrepreneur has, to the point where like every year he has just owned that part of the business and optimize it. Like he's reading like Tommy Mello's books on like how to, and like taking all of like the content from like how to properly set up the vans and the trucks and like map it and performance pay for his guys and stuff that like he's better than me at that. And so I actually tweeted this today. We get less service calls at over $1 million a year in sales now with Jack than we did when I was running everything doing 250,000 a season.
Wow.
So we get less. And so it's just Jack's attention to detail and quality is everything, to the point where he does not let me install. Like even if they're busy and I'm like, dude, you need a hand. He's like, no, you suck. Like he's like, dude, your quality's shit. Yeah. And so Jack's like the biggest reason it changed. And cause he has like that attention to detail. But the difference is he also like, even if you were better than the people you hire in that position, like as an owner, you're typically going to be better than your first employees in every part of the business.
Yep.
But the difference is like if you're an owner and you're doing marketing and you're doing sales and then you're collecting bills and you're doing the fulfillment, what's going to happen is like, even if you're working 60 hours a week, I just listed 4 different aspects of the business. Yeah. You're maybe doing 15 hours a week at both.
Yeah, you can't.
Even if you hire somebody that's 75% as good as you are in the beginning, if they can dedicate 40 hours a week to just that side of the business, they're going to crush what you could do.
Yep.
And so the beauty for me is maybe Jack started at 80% as good as I was. Jack is literally 10 times better than me at the operations role now. And he just kind of owns it to the point where now when we spun off the permanent lighting business, him and I are 50-50 partners on that.
It's awesome.
And so he goes like, he's that story of like college kid, like loyal almost to a fault, like because we almost went bankrupt. He stuck around, like kept the business afloat. And then now he's a 50-50 equity partner and he makes good money.
It's awesome.
Right. And he had the choice. Like he's a college degree. He could have gone and got 1,000 different jobs. Yeah. And he wanted to stick in the
Was it the people that you were hiring at the time? Because, you know, so many entrepreneurs that are watching this, you know, including myself, at one point in time, I was a terrible delegator, right? Like I think every entrepreneur goes through that season where you just don't know what you don't know, and you think that you're better than everybody at everything, and it's hard to delegate. It's hard to let go. It's hard to not micromanage. It's hard, fill in the blank, right? Where did you kind of, when did it hit you where you're like, I have to delegate, Jack's better than I am, like, and I'm gonna like totally be cool mentally with letting that go? Like, how did you learn that?
Dude, kind of like a really unfortunate way to learn it. So in year 3, my brother died in October. And so I was forced to delegate. Like I was forced to not just like delegate and have a position. I was forced to be like actually own it.
Yeah.
Because I can't. So he died in like the worst possible day possible. It was like late October, which is like peak install season.
Terrible.
And that was like year 3. And the person in the operations role wasn't Jack. And so what happened was I was like, dude, you need to own this. Like I got to go back home and book a crematorium and speak at a eulogy and be with my parents who just lost their 30-year-old son, you know? And so what happened was I was forced into, it's one thing to hire the position. It's another thing to like actually delegate the position.
Right.
And so I was forced to like stress test the business. And when you have the wrong person in that position, I learned pretty quick, like it didn't work. And so I fully delegated to the wrong person and we almost went bankrupt.
Wow.
Like we,
what were the biggest, not to interrupt you, but in that moment when you did that and it almost took you out.
Oh yeah.
What objectively now looking at hindsight's 2020, what did they do wrong?
It was me.
It was you.
It was me. So 2 things. 1, you hire the wrong person, but we don't need to get into that. The second thing is it's one thing to have like SOPs, standard operating procedures, everything else. It's another thing to have guardrails in place to audit those and monitor those. So it's one thing to make this system where you're like, hey man, every single job you have this checklist. It's another thing to be like, is that checklist being done on every job when I'm not there? And so then it's like, it's another thing to be like, hey, all the install crews starting the day, you have a, fill your truck checklist. That way when we get to job sites, you don't need to be scrambling and running back to the warehouse because you put everything in there.
Right.
And so the biggest thing I learned is like, as an owner and a founder, you can set up all of these different systems in your business, but if you don't have something there to audit it, the employees don't give a rat's ass about the systems. They'll just start checking the boxes. And so what happened is like, the bad scenario was it's a terrible combination of the wrong person in the position and bad systems.
Yeah.
It's when the cat's away, the mice will play. And so I was gone, out of state, and
nobody was auditing.
Dude, no one was auditing anything. They were just like the inmates were running the prison essentially. And dude, like I'm back at home, like dealing with all that. And I'm starting to see like the phone system, and I'm starting to see like customers from year 1 being like, what the f is going on with you guys? Like, I've been paying you guys for 3 years now. This is there's this here. The lights aren't even on. Whatever else. Your guys were 4 hours late. And it was just like the whole thing imploded.
Yeah.
And so the reason I say I almost went bankrupt was we had to refund a bunch of people because like, that's how you don't get a 1-star Google review. It's like, hey, I'll refund you. Just please like, let's go hire somebody else. We're good. Like, sorry, it didn't work out. But the other side is like, I couldn't, if these people knew why, they probably wouldn't be as harsh, like the customers. But you as an owner, like that's like the thing that slaps you in the face as an entrepreneur. It's like, that's the reality. It's like everyone sees the social media about how glamorous entrepreneurship is. The market didn't care what was going on in my personal life. They paid for a result.
Yep.
And I could never go like, hey, I know you just motherfucked me for XYZ because of how bad the product was. Did you know I just experienced a loss with my family? You can't do that. So you just take it on the chin. And so what happened was it actually set us back 2 years because people left. And then in the next year, because the quality was so bad, we didn't retain anybody.
So you had to get all new customers.
Like essentially, we had more attrition that year than any other year. And then after that year, I obviously fired that position, brought Jack in, and then once Jack got in that position, everything changed.
What about Jack made you feel like he was the right guy? So for somebody watching who's an entrepreneur who's like, how do I hire the right guy? What were the attributes that you saw where you just had that gut feeling where you're like, this is the guy?
He cared more about the quality than he did like clocking in and clocking out. That was like the big thing. So like he cared more about like customer reviews and everything else, which is again like an owner mindset than anything else. But then it does come back to me a little bit like as an owner, you have to give that employee like a roadmap for like, hey, what do you want out of this? Like, what does your wife want out of this? Okay, you want XYZ, you want here, you guys want to get in a house, you want to do this, you want to get the dog. Okay, this is what the business needs to get at to get you there. Build some form of performance pay structure where he's not just punching a time clock. And like, hey, do you want, it's like, do you want to have, 100% of a grape or do you want 10% of a watermelon? Like, let's get the thing bigger to the point where I can pay you more. And so that was the big thing for him is like that position or any position, they have to have compensation tied to performance.
Totally.
Like that's the biggest thing because they can be loyal, they can be whatever. Jack was all of those things when he wasn't tied to the compensation. But then you add that because what's going to happen is eventually he's going to audit his time and the effort he's putting in and be like, there's probably going to be a better option somewhere else for the work I'm putting in. And that's just like, you can have loyalty all day long, but if you don't have a structure to have them feel like this is the best wagon to hitch themselves to, then they're going to leave.
Phenomenal advice.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. The one saying that comes to my mind when you say that is that, every entrepreneur has to have a dream so big that their entire team's dreams, individual dreams, fit within your dream.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't, you end up losing them eventually. Yeah. Right? And that's 100% accurate. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like you have to have a dream that big.
Yeah. And what's cool with our business is my like office manager and like she's kind of like our internal operations, Natalie. She's been with us for 2 years. My head of sales been with us this is his 4th year.
Wow.
Jack's been with us for 4 years. So like in a temporary business to be able to retain talent like that over the course of a lot of years, what happens is when we go start the next year, I don't have to train from zero anymore. So they're just like essentially like a pro athlete. Like they're just like experts of their craft in their thing. And I don't have to start from zero with everybody anymore because we retain them. So when we get in this year, it's not like, oh, this is how to quote a roof line. This is how to install a roof line. It's like, hey, how do we squeeze more out of like, how do we upsell on site, Jack? Like, can we build that into the system? How do we hire more aggressively? Like stuff that's like, when the baseline intelligence is at 80% instead of starting from zero, then you can optimize each of them in their positions way better. And so that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the marketing aspect, right? Yeah. Because I, similar to you, I really want to go deep on like the pay-per-click and the meta. And why did you bring it in-house? Like, why do you go from hiring an agency, right? Because there's a lot of agencies out there. Yeah. I mean, probably too many, right? Which is maybe a different conversation. What was that moment where the aha moment where you're like, man, I need to learn this myself? Because it's not, frankly, learning pay-per-click, and correct me if I'm wrong, and learning meta and all that stuff, like it's somewhat complicated, especially if you've never done it before, right?
Let's start there.
Okay.
Google pay-per-click is complicated.
Yep.
Google pay-per-click, like when I say agency, like I think the nuanced explanation of what I'm actually talking about is important. So like Google pay-per-click, complicated. I still pay an agency for that because Google pay-per-click, you can set $1,000 on fire in a day and get no leads. So like Google pay-per-click, different animal. I still pay an agency for that.
Okay.
AI has completely destroyed the need for home service marketing agencies for Facebook.
For Meta in particular?
For Meta.
Okay.
So if you think about the agency economics, because you've had so many businesses, I'm sure you've hired Meta agencies before for 1,000 different things.
Totally.
So if you think about the agency economics 5 or 6 years ago, they did 3 things for you. A Facebook ad agency would do 3 things for you 5 years ago. They would do your creative. They'd edit still images for you. They would, they'd tell you like, do X amount of videos. We'll edit them for you, whatever else. So they would do your creative, like your videos, your photos. But now we know video's outperforming still every single time. And so now you have to go out as an owner and film a video anyway.
Sure.
So that's not really a value add for them anymore. Agencies 5 years ago used to be able to just plug images, still images in and watch the money printer go burr. Different game now. Second thing agencies used to do is they used to target for you. So they used to like A/B test audiences. Like 5-6 years ago on Facebook ads, you used to be able to target conservative Christian $500,000 a year earners.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that anymore because like the targeting's gone after the iOS changes and all the election stuff. Like the old Facebook targeting of 5 years ago is dead. And so what Facebook did now was like an agency back then used to A/B test, homeowners that also are interested in Range Rover, Porsche, and whatever else. And they would A/B test all of these different audiences for you and whatever else.
Right.
Gone.
Yep.
Meta's AI has displaced that entirely. And so now we're 2 ways in.
Yep.
The creative is done largely by you as the owner and all the editing is done in AI. Now your targeting is gone because Meta's AI finds the customer for you based on what you say in the creative. Sure. There's no targeting settings anymore outside of location. And then the third thing they used to do is they used to write copy for you. So they used to write like the text, the Valley homeowners, like when a person's scrolling on Instagram and Facebook, it's the text they see, it's the headline.
Yep. I mean, AI literally took that over.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And so The current day home service Facebook ad agency is literally a Chat GPT and CapCut arbitrage business. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so because there's no targeting setting, like I run all of my stuff in-house, like I'm spending $300 to $350 a day on Meta for Valley Christmas with no agency spend.
Wow.
And so what happens is you have to do the math as an owner because it's a completely different game now. So if you're going to spend, most of these agencies are $1,000 to $2,000 a month. So you as an owner are going to spend $12,000 to $24,000 a year.
Okay.
What are you paying for? Because
It's true.
if you sign up with them, they're going to say, okay, perfect. Thanks for signing up. Here's your onboard. Can you go film 5 videos for us?
Right.
And you're like, I thought I was paying to buy back my time as an owner. So you're filming the videos yourself anyway. And then they go, oh, we're going to edit them. Go on Fiverr. Go pay somebody $50 a video to edit it for you. It takes 2 seconds.
Yep.
And so then now ChatGPT is writing the copy for you. All of the rest of this is VA work or receptionist work or owner work for an hour a week. Like, dude, I just set it and forget it now because the algorithms are so good now that they just find it with the creative. And so that's what Home Service Accelerator has become. It's like we've had, 550 plus home service businesses come into Home Service Accelerator and they buy it for a bunch of different reasons. But like one of the main reasons is like I, as an owner of multiple home service businesses, fired all of my Meta ad agencies and brought it in-house for not any more work, got better results. Because think about the unit economics there. Like if you want to spend $50 a day on Meta ads, 50 times 30, you're spending, what is that?
$1,500
a
right?
month.
Yeah.
So you're spending $1,500 a month, but you're going to pay an agency a monthly retainer of $1,500 to click go.
Yeah, it's insane.
Why don't you pay $100 a day
Totally.
and get rid of the agency? Reach twice the amount of people. And so that's why the economics don't make sense there. And that's what's been working for us, like big time. But then Google pay-per-click has crushed. But wildly enough, I started paying attention to like what the bigger home service businesses are doing this year. And I noticed that they don't talk about it much on podcasts.
What do you mean?
All of the big ones they're going old school. They're running radio. They're doing like print.
Yep.
They're doing billboards. They're doing all of this stuff, but they don't talk about it like at all. And so I go like, okay, where's the entire market focused? And then like, where can I come in that's not?
Yeah.
So dude, one of the things we did this year was, and this comes down to like, you better have enough margin to take big swings. Like because we're so profitable, I can take bigger risks on the marketing side and try to innovate. Dude, this year we spent like 15 grand on postcards.
Wow.
And we are crushing on
Really?
mailers. And like mailers are largely viewed as like a dead marketing avenue by most home service businesses. But that model is I send a weekly postcard for, this was all Paradise Valley. I sent a weekly postcard to the same 3,500 people 6 weeks in a row.
Dang.
Same people. And what I noticed is every single time it hits their mailbox, the next rendition hits more than the first one. And the next one performs better.
Brand
than the next
awareness.
one. It's just brand awareness.
Yeah.
And so now what happens is if you think about like my business now is like, this is the first time, and I tweeted about this a few days ago. This is the first time that I've noticed that like our lead attribution is like kind of useless or starting to be useless because someone will get a postcard and then they'll Google Valley Christmas and then they'll click our Google ad.
Right.
And so in our CRM, it says they came from a Google ad. My sales guy shows up, they have a postcard in hand. And so it's like, where is that actually coming from?
It's almost like, where did you see us first?
Yes.
But they don't remember.
No.
No.
And so then it becomes like, it's this weird thing where I used to just look at Facebook as, okay, I spent 10,000 this season. I got back 118,000. Great.
Yep.
Keep going. Right. Just easy math. And I used to look at Google the same way. But now I'm like starting to talk to my team and I'm like, no, dude, what's happening is the homeowner is getting a postcard. They're seeing a yard sign. They're seeing one of our 4 wrapped vehicles in PV. They just got a gift card from their neighbor. They get us on Instagram on their feed 5 times a day because we're spending $300 to $350 a day within like a 5 square mile radius. There's not that many bodies there.
There's not.
And so there's like brand omnipresence now.
Yeah.
And that's never happened before. Usually it was just like, oh, they came from Google. We sold them on to the next.
So as a business owner, then how do you, like, what do you do in that situation, right? Like, how do you continue to make sure that the money that you're spending is giving you an ROI?
So I think you still have like last touch attribution. Like what's the thing in your CRM that like where they actually converted?
Sure.
And so on my postcards, it's like a forwarding number that if they call that number, I know that they got a postcard.
Yep.
And so you can kind of get it, but my point is like there's probably a 20% very like disparity either direction.
It's not totally accurate.
No.
Right.
And so the other side too, specifically on Meta, and this is what most people miss, is like the reason Meta is such a cheat code for home service businesses now is when you run the video style like I'm talking about, what's interesting is it does two things now that it didn't used to do when everyone was just running still image.
Yep.
So when you run a video and the video ad is like you as the owner in a branded uniform in front of your branded vehicle, and you call out, "What's up, Scottsdale, Arizona homeowners? My name's Austin with Nectar Pest Control," and you go through the whole thing.
Yep.
The difference that happens is now it's doing two things because you as the owner are building trust, right? In the video, you don't build trust with a still image.
No, you don't.
And so what's happening is now the value of Meta is twofold. One, it's lead gen. So first name, last name, submit. They want a quote for pest control.
Yep.
But now the other thing is they're seeing your videos and they're seeing your brand. And it's essentially like a small local billboard. And so now you see it like we did a $30,000 install for a pretty well-known like Fortune 500 CEO, Fortune 500 company CEO last year, $30,000 residential install. It was coded in our CRM as it came from Google Maps organic. Sales guy gets on site. All the ladies talking about is how cute our Instagrams are. I don't run a lot of organic Instagram content.
Right.
And so my sales guy's like, "Oh, interesting. It says you came through Google." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I Googled you guys after, but I've been seeing your videos for so long." She had been seeing our ads. And so in our CRM, because I run like some funny ads.
Yep.
And so like in our CRM, it's coded as Google. But that job, that $30,000 job came from the tiny little virtual billboards in the form of video ads on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
But she didn't fill out a form there. She's not tied to, attribution on Instagram or Facebook. She came from she came into our funnel from Instagram and Facebook, but she converted from Google like a lot of educated buyers do. They see you on one platform, they go straight to look at your reviews on another.
100%.
So it's crazy.
It is crazy when you really think about it, right? No, I mean, it's Meta and pay-per-click and all that is ultimately fascinating, and it's going to continue to evolve.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to continue to change. But I'm with you. You think of like Rafi Law Group, or you think of, some of these different people, right? It's like, I mean, dude, I've seen them everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I were to fill out one of their forms, I wouldn't even, what would I put? Where did I see them? On a bus, on a billboard, on the radio? Like, they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Are you thinking about doing radio?
Not for Christmas, because every time I've seen people talk about radio, they talk about there's like a 3-4 month window where you lose.
Yep.
And so at that point, it's like, I'm not going to
Same with TV.
Yeah. So I'm not going to start running radio for a business that really makes money for 50 days. It doesn't make sense in my model, but if I were you, I would.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and transition and talk a little bit about the permanent lighting, right? Because obviously, for people watching, they might be thinking like, oh, Steve, like how are you able to monetize the other 10 months out of the year, or the other 9 months out of the year? So you got into permanent lighting now.
Yeah.
Now, are these two separate entities?
They're two separate entities for two reasons. This is like some free game for anybody to peek behind the curtain a little bit. One, it needed to be a separate entity because Jack has 50% of that business,
and
but
not of
doesn't
the
have
other
50% of Valley Christmas.
Okay.
But outside of that, Google Maps is king right now. Like Google Maps is absolutely crushing.
Explain. What do you mean?
So like Google Maps SEO, so traditional SEO was you Google something, you scroll past the ads, and then you scroll past the sponsored posts, and then just traditional SEO was like, it's always Yelp on the top, Thumbtack, Angie, and then like the local businesses that had good backlink SEO.
Yep.
Right. But now when you go and Google something, what you'll see is the Maps pack. Google Maps is showing before the organic old school SEO results. So like when you Google Christmas light installers near me, when you Google, pest control near me, it's going to show you like maybe an ad or two that says sponsored, and then it's going to show the Maps pack.
Yep.
And so if I had to choose as an owner right now, could I have traditional SEO, which was like scroll past the ads and then just like the top 10 results on the page, or Maps? I'd take Maps 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, totally.
100%.
Makes sense.
And so Maps SEO is like an entirely different beast. It's frequency of photo reviews. It's having your products and services dialed in. It's having an actual address on your pin, like a pin on the map, all that. And we get way more work from the Google Maps listing than we do from the organic SEO.
How can you tell the difference?
We have a forwarding number on the Maps.
Got it.
On the Maps one. And then Google Maps, like little like admin tool shows you how many calls you got this month from that.
Sure.
And then all the other jazz. And so what's really interesting is like Maps is king now more than old school SEO.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because Google wants to show like local results, like especially if it's a local home service business, they want to show local results. And so where that phone is when they're searching something, or where that computer's IP address is where they're searching something, they're going to show you more localized results first. And so the reason why I have two is it's a little black hat SEO, but it's two separate entities.
Yeah.
I have one Like Valley Christmas is essentially in Arcadia, which for anyone listening that's not from Arizona, really, really nice neighborhood. And then the other one, Valley Premier, I got in North Scottsdale's Air Park. And so now if you Google Christmas light installers, Valley Christmas is the 10,000 pound gorilla.
Totally.
We rank #1 everywhere. But now Valley Premier with 20 reviews and a new brand is also ranking. So husband and wife go, oh, honey, go get 2 quotes. Maybe 2 of the 3 companies that they call are both, they're separate companies. They're separate entities, but they're both me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's smart.
So
did you have to go get a little office space in the air park?
Yeah, so I have a office in Arcadia that's like a mailing address type spot. It's technically in Phoenix, but
is it an actual storefront? Is there like a PO box?
It is a office.
Okay.
Wink, wink. And then it is a storefront.
Yep.
Google, if you're listening, it's a storefront.
Yes.
And then the one in North Scottsdale is our actual warehouse.
Oh, cool.
Like
so it's
product,
legit. Yep.
Product, trucks.
Yep.
Roll up doors, the whole 9.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's been a big difference. Like Google Maps is crazy.
So with the permanent lighting, what's like the primary difference, from a business standpoint, right? Like, are we talking about, aside from the year round, right? Of course, like one's year round, one's not, right? Like that's the most obvious. But like in terms of average ticket price, stuff like that, like talk to me about the permanent lighting.
Yeah, in the last 30 days, we've sold 10 jobs for $111,000 on the permanent lighting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the average ticket's
we're talking about 10, 11 grand?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like...
So your average ticket's actually double.
Closer to triple, because we got one job in there that's like a $500 tree screwing up the average.
Dang.
Yeah. So like we just sold a $29,000 permanent roofline job.
That's awesome.
So it's a completely different type. But what's really interesting about the permanent is the permanent's an upper middle class service.
Okay.
The temporary is ultra white glove, Paradise Valley, richest people on planet Earth service. Because the sale of the permanent a lot of the time is like, when we were on the temporary business, 90% of the jobs were warm white.
Yep.
Just the classic, elegant, warm white. The people who want colors are families. And so the permanent roofline lighting a lot of the time is like people who want to do colors. And so what's interesting is now with the technology, like the kids can go out with a mobile phone and change, like the mobile app, and change the colors on that. But we tried to cannibalize our Valley Christmas book and move people to permanent. We had 204 installs last year. 3 of them took us up on it.
Why?
It's a completely different market.
I can't even wrap my brain around that.
It's a completely different market. It's actually a more financially savvy investment.
Right.
Because if they're paying for their roof line every year to be put up and put down, and it's like $3,000, that roof line's probably going to be $12,000 to $15,000 with permanent. And so the people that do that are the people that are like somewhat a little bit more savvy financially.
Yeah.
And they go like, hey, if I'm going to pay this for 3 or 4 years in a row, I might as well just get permanent and have it forever.
Totally.
But if you're selling to white glove people who are paying you out of a trust, they don't give a
crap.
no, they're just like run it up.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's been the difference. But the other side of like, even though the permanent is year round, which does give me the ability to keep employees employed year round, it's actually still about 80% of our calls come during Christmas season.
Really?
Yes. We were able to sell it.
But is that just because you haven't been in the industry as long on that side?
Probably.
Yeah.
We were able to sell it during the entire year. Like we were doing installs all year. But it's still like close to 80% of the inbound call volume historically has come from this last couple months.
This is more of a technical question, but on the permanent side of things, are you also doing like landscape lighting? Like we're talking about like uplighting, for example. Like I want to do like a whole ficus tree like hedge in my backyard. And you know how they do like the uplighting?
Yeah.
Like are you doing that type of stuff or you just do roof line?
We're getting into that more now.
Okay.
So we didn't want to add it this Christmas season because we knew we would be chock full of just permanent roofline lights. But we're adding more of that now.
Because I feel like that's like where you start to look at like, okay, like you could be a multiple 8-figure company.
Yeah, but here's the reality about landscape lighting. You're competing with landscapers that are going to Ewing.
Yeah.
They're going to Ewing irrigation.
Yep.
And landscapers, like anybody in the landscaping world knows, they're a dime a dozen and it's a race to the bottom in that industry.
It is.
And so what's funny is like those guys, like the barrier to entry of getting on a ladder and getting on a roof and understanding the technical aspect of the permanent still keeps like a lot of competition from trying to do it. Whereas like landscape lighting, there's so many landscapers that have been in business for like 50 years that eventually like they just start adding it.
Yeah.
And so we started like selling like uplighting and everything else. And when we were looking at the market, we were like, dude, Like these guys are buying fixtures from Ewing for, $6 a fixture and installing it for $9. And it's like, it doesn't even make sense.
You can't compete with that.
But I don't want to compete with that. Just like I don't want to compete with the middle class, like temporary lighting businesses, because probably more than half of them aren't even operating legally.
Yep.
And so then it's like, if I'm paying, think about the disadvantage I'm at running the business legally.
Right.
Like I'm paying workman's comp, I'm paying commercial vehicle, I'm paying tax, just paying tax in general.
Totally.
And then someone else is going in and quoting. Homeowner doesn't care most of the time. They just want the job done.
Cheap.
In
that industry.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean you can't sell it, but we noticed that. So we add it this year. We've noticed that like the Paradise Valley and like Scottsdale markets, there is a massive market for permanent tree wrapping.
Okay.
Like a lot of people want like, when you go to Global Ambassador, like they have them year round. Like they have like the warm white lights.
The
on
Optima
trees.
right here.
Yeah, Optima. Yeah, Optima
year round.
Yeah. And so there's a market for that we're tapping into more.
Okay.
But that'll be much more a January, February thing once all the temporary comes down.
Sure. Yeah. And what do you think? Like, I mean, what's the goal with that company? Like, what type of revenue numbers do you think you could get that company to?
The reason we started Valley Premier is we think that the 10-year plan with Valley Premier is way bigger.
Yeah.
Because you can start to go into so many different things. You can start going after commercial more aggressively. You can do like leasing plans, things like that. So Valley Christmas is an income generating business. It's not really a sellable asset, like as much, because like if there's multiple types of buyers, if there's like institutional buyers, there's owner op buyers, whatever else, like an institution's not going to touch a Christmas light business ever. They're not going to roll up a temporary Christmas light business. There's too much variable. There's too little time to make money. And so as Jack and I looked at like, where do we want to be in 5 years, 10 years? The permanent is because you can sell service plans. So you have an MRR aspect of it. It's a way higher average ticket. You can get in with builders and like fit it into a new build.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And all of that. And so that's like, I view Valley Christmas as an income generator. I view Valley Premier as like the golden egg of like an actual sustainable business that you could probably exit for pretty substantial. But even if you don't exit from it, like it's also just an incredible business model.
Cash cow.
Yeah, it's a cash cow.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I own 2 very large real estate companies, and in theory, they're both sellable, right? But also not really, right? Like, I mean, it's just the reality of it. But they both print money.
Right. And I have and I have this same thing with Home Service Accelerator.
Yeah.
Like Home Service Accelerator is bigger than all the other businesses.
Which is crazy.
But it's not, I could never sell it. Home Service Accelerator is
tied. Because it's you.
It's tied to my IP.
Yeah.
It's tied to my brain. It's tied to my brand. Like, and so we, like any other business owner who's not completely stupid, like I've built things in there to like grab a little bit more MRR, give people value outside of just like the 90-day program, sell them software that actually doesn't suck, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even then still, I looked at like all my businesses with Valley Christmas and Home Service Accelerator, and I go, I still don't have a model that's an exit-friendly sellable asset. So that's what the permanent will eventually be.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So talk to me then about the Accelerator, right? Home Service Accelerator. Where did the idea come from? What does it look like? What's your primary focus with that?
Yeah, so like when I looked at kind of what I was just talking about, when I was looking at Valley Christmas, before we even had Valley Premier, it was, what do I do the next 10 months? Like, what am I doing with my life for the other 10 months?
And what were you doing at that
time? Junk
time?
removal.
Okay,
Junk removal.
Okay.
Which is like the biggest race to the bottom home service business ever.
You know Kyle then?
Kyle
with Junk Rescue?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I've done a business tour and stuff with him.
Yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah. So he does dumpsters too as well. We didn't even get into dumpsters. We were just like residential. We just hated it.
Yeah.
Like Jack and I just hated it. Like we made more in a week doing Christmas lights than we did in a month doing junk removal for better margins.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very hard to go, like we're doing, 20 something thousand in installs a day. And like, that was a decent 3 weeks in junk.
Sure.
So it was like, whatever else. But then the other reason I hated junk was the capital expenditure to grow is you're financing a $100,000 vehicle every time you want to grow, and then the insurance companies hate you.
Yep.
Because the second you tell insurance companies you're going to a landfill or a dump, they'll jack your rates up by,
of course,
3x. So we got rid of that. But the reason Home Service Accelerator came in was I was like, okay, like what do I have to offer the market? And I looked at like, well, I got a business to, $400,000 a month in a seasonal. So when you look at it like that, I'm like, okay, I'm like, if Christmas was year round, I'm operating close to a $5 million business.
Right.
Now I'm operating close to a $7 million business. But it's like, so all of the operations are like, I have created a machine to service a $7 million year revenue business.
Totally.
I just can only work for 2 months. And so I was like, okay, like I have the skill set. It's like, what can I actually provide to the market? And then I started like, one of my neighbors had a window cleaning business. And I was like, dude, you need to run Facebook ads. And so he was like, I don't know how to do it. I was like, dude, let me show you. So I went up to his apartment and I built him a Facebook ad campaign. And he got like, dude, I'm not kidding you, it's the craziest. Like, it was 4 videos, $50 spend a day. So he spent like, was that $1,500 a month?
Yep.
And he sold like $22,000 in windows with like, I want to say like 5,000 or 6,000 of it came onto monthly or quarterly service plans after. And so I was like, oh, and he was like, dude, you changed my life. Like, it was like, dude, that like completely changed the trajectory of our business.
Wow.
And so I go, okay. And so then I started like running ads for like, I could teach someone else how to do this. And so I brought in a few window cleaners, like an auto detailer. And I was like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to like fix the systems of your business. And Facebook ads was like still an afterthought. And then he's still with us now. I actually had him get rid of his window cleaning company and I hired him full time. It was like he's like a closer. He does all of our Facebook ad fulfillment, everything. There's this kid named Carson. He was 22 years old.
I think I met him.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe at the job.
No, he wouldn't have been there.
He wouldn't have been there.
Okay. But so he was doing window cleaning and auto detailing. And we were looking at his stuff and he was auto detailing and I had him do like a bunch of time audits, whatever else. I was like, you need to stop doing auto detailing. It's the worst business in the world. Run window cleaning Facebook ads. So we set up ads for him and it crushed, but he had like taken a Facebook ad course. And so he was like decent at Facebook ads. And so I did it for him. And then he went from $3,000 or $4,000 a month in revenue living with his parents to like $25,000, $30,000 a month as a 22-year-old. Like at doing all the fulfillment himself. So he was net, he was like 65, 70% net. So you take like a 22-year-old who like, yeah, you and I talking about this now, that's not crazy numbers.
No.
But you take a 22-year-old and you go like, this one customer acquisition funnel like changes this kid's life. And so then he goes like within 6 months out of his parents' house, like into his own spot, business ripping. He was so good at it though. And he was like on our group calls for Home Service Accelerator when like 5 people were on them. He was like educating them more than I was. And so I called him one day, I was like, dude, you need to just like sell that business, come on board. Like you will make more money here.
Heck yeah.
And so he does like, he's a closer for us. He does all of our Facebook ad fulfillment, everything else. And so now it's like a machine where now Home Service Accelerator, like I just share with everybody else the exact thing I went through. And so the reason it like people buy it because a lot of info products are dead.
Yeah,
like
totally.
especially info products running cold traffic. And so ours is like much less of an info product because we do so much fulfillment with it. And so if you take like, for example, with Nectar, you would come in and we would say, Austin, we still think you should run pay-per-click ads yourself. But like, here's what I think you should do. I think you should run your meta ads yourself. I think you should do your Google Maps SEO yourself. We have a blueprint for that in the program. You need to set up a better CRM automation, speed to lead system. We can set that up for you, all that jazz. And so all of these different home service business owners come in and the economics are really simple. Like at the time of filming this, the program costs about $4,000.
Okay.
You're about to pay $12,000 to $24,000 a year for an agency.
100%.
Like it's the easiest sell ever. But the reason the info product still sells in a time where info is kind of dying is I'm active in my businesses still.
Yeah.
And so I speak their language and they know it's not like marketing BS.
Yep.
Like I'm in it. They can see my content.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And so like when I get on group calls, the reason it's like the recurring side of like people stay in the program after the 3 months is like I'll get into a group call and I will be like, hey, here's this new SOP auditing system that I just made for my business. Here's the blueprint. Here's how we implemented it. Here you go.
Right.
And so it's like, it's much less like, oh, just run ads. It's like they come in because the main selling point is Facebook ads and everything else. There's a massive community component to it. There's 500 something people in it now.
It's huge.
But the difference is communities suck if they don't have to pay to get in.
Right.
And so that's the difference is like, I'm sure you've seen like free school groups where you get in 2 seconds and it's like terrible.
Yeah.
But then if everybody had to pay to get in, there's a like level to the conversations that just like isn't the same. Because like in the beginning we were cheaper and what I noticed is like when we would sell a $500,000 a month home service business in, they would get on and the guy already has 20 employees. Like he's doing $6 million a year. He's ripping. And then some $5K a month window cleaner, because we used to sell it for $1,500 is like, how do I set up my payroll system? It's like that guy instantly goes like, this is not valuable to me at all. And so like the level of the community has grown substantially too.
I love that. Give me some examples of some different types of home, like is it everything?
Dude, like this morning we sold a garage door company into it. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we sold like a bathroom remodeler. Pressure washing, Christmas lights, landscape lighting, pest control. Like any home service or contracting business can do it.
Wow.
And so for me, it's good because it's like a massive big blue ocean of opportunity. Like we're not going to really run out of a TAM in that business. But it's also like if you go on like my YouTube, if you go on like anything like that, you'll see like the comments from our customers. Like if you get an ad for Home Service Accelerator on Facebook, you'll see 3 or 4 of our customers being like, this thing changed my life.
Wow.
And so that's
super cool.
Yeah. And so that's like the info thing's interesting because like info is dead, but I don't think info is dead. I think like shitty info is dead.
100%. It's been dead.
Yeah.
You know, shitty info's been dead, right? I mean, people don't want, you know, the age and the era of people that are teaching outdated crap.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's been dead forever.
Yeah.
You know? Problem is that there's a lot of that crap still out there.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, you know,
there's a lot of it.
So the education world, I hate the education world, right? But I hate it for those reasons that we're talking about, right? Like I love it when it's like what you do.
Well,
right?
yeah, and I think the interesting thing too is I'm a rarity.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Like there's no.
That's why I'm saying like you are the anomaly.
Yeah, there's no, because the home service business owner archetype is not an internet money type of person. And so there's not 1,000 of me. There's a handful that are like selling BizOp, like learn how to make $5,000 cleaning windows, pay me $5,000 on through Klarna. You know, it's like those guys like still exist, but they don't ever get anywhere really because they don't fulfill very well. But like your world, real estate, that was a dark, was a dark info space.
Yeah. There's like literally a couple of guys that I could tell you, and I could name them, I'm not going to, that are good at what they do. Yeah. And they're phenomenal. They have amazing communities.
Correct.
They've been on my podcast, right?
Yeah.
So you know the names. Everybody else is a freaking scam.
Yeah,
like I really believe that.
Yeah,
you know?
and especially in the time where the history will look back poorly on 2020 through 2023 in the info world and how much damage BNPLs did. Because what was happening is these people were so focused on sales and fulfillment, and then everyone was getting instant approved for financing. And so people who had no business paying for a program like this were financing a $10,000 education program while they were completely broke through Klarna or a firm or something like that, and then not being fulfilled on the back end. And so like now they've, you know, taken 5 figures of debt in for a shitty product. Versus like we offered it for a little bit for like flexible payment options, but like, dude, of the 550 people, I think less than 10 financed,
which is amazing.
And now we don't offer it at all.
Right.
Like, we do not let anybody offer it or do it because as we looked at it and I started looking at the business, like originally it was just set up on Stripe as a checkout thing. I was like, okay, whatever. But I actually like, in my opinion, if they have to finance a $4,000 product, like they probably shouldn't finance it.
100%.
Now
they're going to be a terrible student.
Yeah, but now it's different. Like if the product is 15, 20, 25,000, like, and then it becomes like maybe, you know, using Split It or something like that, where I don't think that like all financing is bad. Like you and I as business owners have financed. I finance trucks. Like I finance whatever. Sometimes flexible financing makes sense for like cash flow in a business. But I think that like based on the people we were targeting and everything else, I started to have somewhat of like a moral, ethical dilemma on
100%.
it. So now we just don't offer it at all.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're better off that way. You're going to get a higher quality student. They're going to have higher quality. They're going to have more success. You're going to feel better because you're, you know, the whole thing about being a coach is that you get all your fulfillment and joy out of seeing other people actually win.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're a good coach, like, you know what I mean? Like that's like where the joy and the fulfillment comes from. It's not the money. It's seeing that guy that you talked about, right? That you went and showed him how to run the meta ad and you changed the trajectory of his life. Like that's, you know.
Yeah. And it's funny, like internally we say the 2 C words are course and coaching. Like we don't like to use that because when someone's buying, I'm like, if you're buying for like motivational coaching, do not buy this. If you're buying for like raw, like you want me to message you on Monday and be like, hey, go kill it today. Not what this is.
Yep.
Like when they come in, like we will do a one-on-one Facebook ad setup call with them, film it, use an AI note taker, like create SOPs for them internally to like always have forever in their business. So like then their VA can go back, set up a campaign when the ads fatigue, whatever else themselves. And so it's like, I guess from the outside looking in, it's info education, but there's like so much fulfillment on it. When I say like we're kind of a hybrid, like I mean it, like it's truly like there's a lot of fulfillment.
You're getting technical.
Yeah.
Right? Like on the back end, like it's a tangible, it's kind of a service in a way.
Yeah. I mean like, dude, like the Google Maps SEO portion of the program, I had the guys from Striker Digital, which is like a massive local SEO agency that works with like roofers with 5 locations. Like they won't even pick up the phone with you if you do less than $1 million a year. Like I had, because I know him personally, like I had him help me build the Maps stuff because my customers were not his, like they wouldn't go to him immediately. But the goal with him was if we educate them through my program when they're smaller, eventually they'll get to the point where the economics of their business makes sense for them to outsource and do, I think their retainer's like $2,500 a month. So you're not doing that unless you're doing 6 figures a month because it just doesn't make sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you, dude. All right. We got time for a couple more questions and then we got to get out of here. One of them is, what did you mentally... For entrepreneurs watching, right? Like every entrepreneur that I've ever sat down with that has achieved a massive level of success, they've all had at least one moment, if not multiple, in their career and their life where they just about freaking quit. They just about like got to the point where their entire world fell apart, right? And so that was your story back in, I believe, 2021, right? What mentally, like, how did you get through that season of your life? And what would your recommendation be to somebody watching who maybe is going through a very difficult season where they don't know if they're going to make it or not?
Yeah, I would say like the cheesy one is like the only way out is through. So like when I was laying in bed on December 20th and I knew that I had teardown payroll to pay and I had $45,000 in the bank and I know I model teardown as about a $50,000
so every dollar
payroll. So I was like doing the math in my head. All right, if I sell my car cash, I can make these payrolls, whatever else. Like that's as dark as it can get. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Like that feeling, like I was getting like rashes on my face. Like my immune system was shutting down on the stress. So like I've had it worse. I've had it just as bad as it can get. Like truly like the darkest, whatever. And so to answer that question, the first thing is like the only way out is through. If you're in that position, what are you going to do? Quit? You've already got this far.
Right.
Like, so that one, but then the other side is like, and it goes back to the Alex Hormozy quote where it's like, it's supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
Like if it was easy, everybody would do it. Like the reason we're all entrepreneurs is because it's the uncapped earning potential that comes with it. And like the desire to build something, like not just like go cut a check and like have like, clipped wings. It's like whatever you want out of it, you're going to get out of it. But the difference is like that comes with a cost. And the cost that it comes with is like, this shit is not easy. And so like, it's so funny because when you like the Hormozy talks about like the thing where it's like, this is what hard feels like. Like hard is not when you're motivated. Hard is not when you're excited. Like hard is not you starting Nectar and like the exciting part about like getting the trucks wrapped and finding an operator and like building brand and your first customer. That's not hard.
No.
Hard starts the second it's not fun.
Totally.
And I think that if the more people that got into it realize like, oh yeah, like this sucks. Like it absolutely sucks. Then you're like, okay, I signed up for this to suck. This is part of the agreement with myself that I signed up for.
And it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, because then you're just like, all right, shit, like, there's some good times, but there's also some really bad. And so I love that graphic. And like when people onboard at Home Service Accelerator, it's like one of the first videos they see. It's like there's the graphic of like what you think business ownership looks like, and it's the XY axis, and it's just the line going like this, and then it's what it actually is, and it's like wins, and then a valley, and then it's like the next peak's a little bit higher, and then the next valley's even lower than the first valley. And so if you think about the easy thing for me is like over the 5 years, it was get to 100K in a year, and I think I'm God's gift. And I was like a little cocky, like I can't believe I did almost 6 figures doing Christmas lights, whatever else. And then it's like a little bit of valley, and then it's we do 250,000 a year. I think I'm the shit. And then it's brother dies, operator runs the business into the ground, deepest possible valley of despair you could get ever. And then now it's like, and I know that more valleys will come.
Yeah,
like
they will.
But you just deal with it better.
You do.
And so that's, in my opinion, it's like you have to understand that's what you're signing up for.
Totally. A lot of people don't.
No.
A lot of people don't, right? I mean, and that's why I think the big influencers who glamorize entrepreneurship on social media ought to take another look at how they position everything, right? Because it's not positioned well on the internet, of what it actually is.
Yeah, I think it's like financial Darwinism.
Yep.
It's like the easiest way to avoid getting eaten in the world of finances is don't buy anything from somebody whose customer acquisition funnel is material driven.
Yeah.
And so like don't buy anything,
No.
like nothing. So if it's an info product, if it's an agency, if it's a vendor, it's like if their organic content or their YouTube is flexing watches, supercars, houses, or anything else, just run.
Yep.
Because if that's working on you, you're an idiot. Like if that makes you convert, you're an idiot.
I couldn't agree more.
And so like that's the brutal reality is like just audit who you're talking to, because you included and a lot of our mutual friends, the dudes who actually build massive businesses are very rarely flexing lifestyle, and they'll never be telling you how easy it is. Ever.
Never. No, I'm with you, man. I even got to a point where I very rarely show my lifestyle. Now I am at a point where I want to show it again, but in a little bit of a different light, right? Like not like that super flashy, like look at me, but just more of like to inspire people, to show people what's possible. I think that that's important.
Yeah.
But there's a way that you have to do it, right?
For sure.
It's kind of hard to even describe what that even means, but there's just a way you have to go about it, right?
Yeah. It's like the way, like the positioning is different. Like if if I buy a house and I do a house tour, it's like, that's not really, douchey per se, or like, or like manipulative. But if I like went out and my messaging was, you can make $100,000 doing Christmas lights in 2 months.
Yep.
No, you're not.
Right.
You're going to do 100,000 in revenue. You're not going to make 100,000.
That's true.
And then it's like, and look at this, and look at my car. This is what I got from Christmas lights. No, it's not. Like it's not. And so I think that's the difference is like, what are you selling on the back end, and what is the dream you're actually positioning?
Yeah, what are the words that are coming out of your mouth too?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Super important.
Yeah.
All right, last question for you, bro. So what would be your number one piece of advice for a home service company right now who's doing less than $1 million a year to get to over that 7-figure mark? It could be anything. It could be, hiring, delegating. It could be systems, processes, ads, whatever the case is. Like, is there one thing that comes to your mind that you see in your group that people typically come in and they're doing said thing wrong?
Yeah, customer acquisition, we could talk about for hours. Like Facebook ads will work, Google ads will work, marketing just works. So I'm not even going to answer it that way.
Yep.
Audit how many referrals you get. Like that's like the biggest thing. If you're doing $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month, and you're getting no referrals, like all of your new business is coming from paid traffic, it's time to take a hard look in the mirror. Because my first year, and this is like, and I think this is so funny because when I get up here and I talk about like marketing, customer acquisition, all of that, yes, there's like, it's the game of it. It's fun. It's like very cool to crack something, paid traffic, and watch the money printer go burr. But the reality of it is last year, 55% of our new business came organically.
Wow.
And so if it's not, like in my first year, we did not get a single referral, or like maybe we got one. And I said to myself, oh, it must just be the industry. Maybe people don't like to share with people that they pay to get Christmas lights done. No, it's because we sucked. And so if you're looking at your business, the biggest advice I can give you is if you're not getting referrals, one, start asking for them on every job, build that into a system. But two, if you're not getting referrals, it's probably because you suck, but you're not sucking bad enough to have them leave, but you're just not wowing them. And so if you look at every good home service business, every good contracting business, whatever, the ones that scale, they're scaling through organic.
Yep.
Like paid is gasoline on the fire. Organic is the long burning log that is harder to get going, but organic is referrals, word of mouth, whatever else. And so that would be the easiest answers. If you're not getting referrals, take a long, hard look in the mirror like I did. And I realized like, we're not getting referrals because we sucked.
Number one tip, I have a follow-up question now. What's your number one tip to get more referrals?
Gift card campaign. So
Okay,
what they do is at the end of the job, you give them a little gift bag, a little whatever. So if you're, take 3% of the job revenue, 5% of the job revenue, take that aside and put it to gift. So whether it's like we give people an ornament, that's like Valley Christmas ornament at the end of the job. And in that bag, they get the ornament that's like the annual ornament, changes every year. And then within that bag, they get 2 gift cards to give to their friends and neighbors. And on the back of the gift card, it says gifted by, and we write the homeowner who just got the job done for them's name. So let's say I go out and I do you and Mo's house. And so on the back of the gift cards you get in that gift bag, it says gifted by Austin Zaback. And so then we give you a little FAQ sheet and it says, hey, share this with your friends or family, whatever else. It's tracked to you with the name on the back. Every time your friend, neighbor, or family redeems these, we're going to send you a $100 gift card to Stake 44. And then this is a $100 gift card for them to Valley Christmas Lights. And so then what happens is like what most home service business owners do is they go like, they feed them a they feed them a steak after they've just had a 5-course meal. It's like, oh, next time you use us, 20% off if you refer a friend. It's like, dude, they just paid you.
Yeah.
Like they're not
thinking that far ahead.
They're not thinking that far ahead. It doesn't resonate.
Right.
But if you give them a third party carrot, which here is like, just the husband has to go give the gift card to the neighbor. And if the neighbor redeems it, he gets $100 to Stake 44 or Mastro's. That's going to get me out of bed a little bit at the mailbox to go do something like that. And so like building it into the SOP of like every single customer is getting that, we just start to get way more referrals that way.
It's awesome.
But then also like the work's just good.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're wowing them.
Yeah, like we have a roofline customer for 3 years now. Her neighbor just bought from us, and the neighbor lady goes, "I see you guys everywhere, but the thing that got me across the edge was I went over to the neighbors when I was walking my dog at night, and your sign was in our yard, in her yard, and I was like, I've seen that company everywhere, and the lights look beautiful."
Yeah.
So that was kind of
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I appreciate you being on, man. We're definitely going to have to do this again as you continue to scale. I love bringing guests on multiple times.
Yeah.
I've had Cameron on 2 or 3 times now. I've had a lot of big names on. So I'm excited, dude. I'm excited for you to get your permanent lighting to $5-10+ million a year. I mean, it's going to be badass to watch, and I appreciate you. Where can people find the Home Service Accelerator if they want to join, if they own a home service company?
Yeah, just homeserviceaccelerator.com. I'll give you guys a link. That's probably the easiest way, or they can reach out to me on Instagram or X or all of those, and I'll give you the links.
Steve, what's the handle?
Oh gosh, on Instagram it's just steve.hunsaker.
Okay.
That's like the easiest way. YouTube, you just search my name. And then there's like links in all of the YouTube videos to join.
Yeah, your content's fire. I'll link all that down in the description below on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're watching. I'll link it down below. I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Dude, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're still watching, I appreciate you very much. Like, subscribe, go check out Steve's stuff. It'll all be down in the description below, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.